Hello!
Hello!
Hello, DM Dan from the future here. Once again, I've been attacked by audio gremlins, and for some reason, Meg's audio did not record until right towards the end of this episode. So I've put together my knowledge of Meg and pieced together what everyone was saying, and I think I've got a pretty good representation of what was said during this recording. And by that I mean sometimes I'm just making it up. But hopefully you should still get the gist. Everyone else is still audible. But yeah, sorry Meg. Okay, back to the video.
Hello, we are the Explorers of Elsewhere. We are campaign 2, Algernon's Angels. Hello. This is going to be the final episode of Algernon's Angels before we head on into possibly. Well, I'm sure
of all time.
TBD. Yeah.
This is the last one before the finale, certainly.
Yes. Before we all just cack it. Yeah, this is. Well, this will most likely be our last theorizing episode.
Oh, for sure.
Of what we think is going to happen. So obviously we're heading into our last downtime as the crew, and then heading into like our final score and towards the finale. So we're going to talk about a couple of things, probably some more sort of ending episode things. So I guess the one thing that we've decided we wanted to talk about is, are there any plot hooks that we hope get resolved or might be left open as we come towards the end?
Yes, I am incredibly interested to know if Fairfax and his wife can reconcile their marriage.
Wait, are they breaking up? Did I miss something really big?
Well, Fairfax is such a basic bitch. His wife must be so bored of him.
They're having some problems. I think that's the most
You're in there,
important thing.
Algernon.
One last visit to Fairfax and Mrs. Fairfax is in order before the end of the world.
Is Fairfax's name Fairfax, or is that his last name? And does he have a first name?
No,
Both.
that's his last name. Yeah.
Think of a first name right now.
Bob.
Nigel.
Fax Fair.
Fairfax.
He strikes me as like a character that could become like, gosh, who's the police person in Batman that becomes Batman's, like, he could be
Gordon.
Yeah.
Gordon, yeah.
He could have a moment where, he finds his bravery.
Or maybe he's got a super ironic name. Like Bruiser.
Bruiser Fairfax. Interesting.
His first name is actually Algernon as well. And they
It's
had
just
like a
Tom.
big conversation about who was
I made him drop it.
But imagine if it was Bruiser and his dad was like a boxer and he thought, yeah, my son is going to grow up to be well hard like me. And then he got Fairfax.
little wet lettuce Fairfax.
Poor Fairfax.
I think a couple of really quite important mysteries have been answered since we last did one of these episodes, hasn't it?
Yes.
Well, first of all, who the Blackthorn is. It's sort of neatly tied up who is the Blackthorn and who is Algernon's long-lost sibling.
Mystery sibling.
Mystery sibling. Very cool. How did you feel about that development, JC?
I was expecting them to be the same person.
Yeah.
But I didn't know any of the context, and I really loved how Dan really dove into the backstory stuff that I had written.
Yeah.
And put all those puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
It was really cool, wasn't it? Yeah, because I think we'd basically guessed it, hadn't we? The actual reveal wasn't a huge surprise to us as players. May have been to viewers who hadn't been watching along with Algernon's Angels, but actually, like you say, what Dan did with the story of it and the reasoning behind it was really cool, wasn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd like to resolve that in the coming episodes as well. Just have like a private moment with what's her name, Davira,
Yes, that's it.
because it like Algernon's whole thing is that he knows everything in advance, and this is the one thing he like has literally been stripped from his memory. So that's challenging him quite a lot.
And I guess not last episode, the same episode where we found out about Blackthorn, we also found out about the Heart of Elysia. So who is actually the Heart of Elysia? We found out.
It's a person. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I had an image in my head of some big crystalline structure underneath the city. I thought probably in the sewers, but I thought it was going to be some big crystal or other that was creating this this bubble. So I thought the fact that it's a person was really cool.
Yeah, I agree with you, Julia. I always thought it was more of a sort of structure or an entity rather than an actual person.
I suppose, pardon me, I suppose one of the big questions that I've got is I kind of feel like some of Elysia's like undercover like history is still quite dark. Like we don't know a lot about what I always forget her name. Ratsworm lady.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Lady
Chancellor.
Valenmar, that's it.
Valenmar, yeah, and what was she dabbling in essentially in order for that to kind of happen, and why? At the same time as the veil? I don't know. They're kind of. I feel like there's a thicker plot.
That's a really good point, actually. None of us have really questioned that at all, have we? It's like,
How did she amass?
Turia Valenmar didn't actually run away. She stayed in the city, and she's the one powering the veil. Like, how? And why?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
Especially after what we saw in the library with all of the different... Because the library... I think about the library often. Because it had like quite a lot of equal depictions of the kind of arcane and the divine dragons. And
True. I think, the ruling Asavar families were quite big fans of the arcane dragons, as much as the divine ones, and that was kind of one of the things that got them run out of town, wasn't it? Because when the divine dragons beat the arcane dragons, it became a sort of heresy to support the arcane dragons, didn't it?
Yeah. We kind of know that Dan, I don't know if Dan actually had like an idea of like a big boss baddie at the end, so we didn't know that. I've forgotten her name. That's completely lost my brain.
Nephene.
That was it. I don't know. We initially didn't know that Nephene was going to be the big bad at the end, and I think that's the way that Dan's always planned it. That there could have been anyone who could have been the big bad at the end.
It could have been Odalmus. It could have been
and it all. Yeah. So I do wonder whether or not there is an element of the fact that the veil is arcane magic, and whether or not that would have played into it. Like they would have found out that it was arcane magic, and someone would have tried to just knock it down because they hate arcane so much, or something along those lines.
Wasn't Lucragi's? I feel like, or I'm misremembering, but I feel like Lucragi and the church's whole thing was destroying arcane items, but wasn't. There was like this. I know Odalmus was going outside of the veil to investigate other methods of like protection, but I feel like the faith were as well, like Lucragi and maybe other faith-aligned people were trying to come up with other ways.
Yeah, I think they were keen on, because they were obviously, there was the whole Elsewhere in Elysia bit where Lucragi went to the garden keepers to find out how they contacted their god, basically, and I think there was a big thing about that. Them thinking if they murder all the Sangravars, it's going to contact their god, and that they're going to be able to put up a new veil in some sort of sense. I'm not completely sure if that was how it was going to play out. I kind of got that feeling that's how it was going to go.
not a big question that we didn't discuss prior to what we had discussed in the episode. Where do we think Taro is right now? What?
Being a pest
God.
somewhere.
Being a pest, for sure. That's a really good point. That is definitely a plot thread that needs to be addressed, isn't it? But I think I am 100% expecting Taro to feature heavily in our finale.
She's going to pop up and like give us a choice between two things. Be a trickster.
Oh, she is.
Just give
She's
us a
such
call.
a trickster. Yeah.
Wow.
She loves it.
Something I've been thinking about. Taro has been super annoying. But she's not been trying to hurt us directly. Maybe she's just testing us. I've been wondering if she's a good person or not. And what if it's like you do this to prove that you're worthy of making it back to elsewhere?
That would be quite cool.
So this is like a purgatory.
Taro, actually good.
Abandoned us.
Or maybe she's just a bit shit. He.
And because like if it's her domain to be the trickster, like that's the only thing that potentially she can do to help is come in and play tricks.
Kind of stir the pot a bit.
She can't come in and be the savior of the city. She can just
No, it's not her MO. She has to do it through mischief.
I can't remember what we found out on the scroll about. It was like a diary of somebody seeing. Was it one of the Antilliers' diaries of them seeing?
It was the Lady Valenmar that we've discovered is the heart, I think.
Ooh.
Well, it was 300 years old. It was it was like a 300-year-old entry.
Might have been I think it was an ancestor.
Right,
But didn't they go slightly mad for having seen and experienced the Purple Lady?
They went like full, was it The Shining style?
God. Yeah. I mean, she'll do that to you.
It would be interesting to see how she plays into the next couple of episodes. It'd be really funny if she just never turns up again. She's just like, outie, bye.
Just gone. Oh, this place is going to get real bad real quick. Bye.
You've created ghosts and mechs. My job here is done.
Yeah. They don't need me here to cause mischief.
Yeah.
How do we feel about, I guess, one, finding who Velka is, finding out the relationship between him and Songbird, and also finding out that Songbird was the one who did want to murder all the Sangravar, and that Valka was the one who was trying to stop her.
Right. Yes. First of all, I don't know who it was who referred to him like this, but somebody called Velka Daddy Crispy last week. It made me laugh so much. He looks a mess under that mask, doesn't he? I think we were correct. He is a horribly burned man, as we suspected. But yeah, the reason for it, never saw that coming. Never saw that it was him standing up to Songbird. Does anyone feel like almost fully like they've lost all their sympathy for Songbird, having heard what she wanted to do?
I support women's rights and women's wrongs, though, so...
Yeah, she was fully girl bossing her way to murder, so...
I mean, she thought she was doing it for the right reasons, though, didn't she?
Yeah.
But so interesting that, she was supporting a break-in into the prison to get the Sangravar out, and now we know why.
Now we know why. And
we thought she was being a good person.
And she got poor old Musto involved. How could she?
Poor old
Mindless Musto.
Little scraggy
Brainless.
Musto. Sweaty.
That's a good point. Something I want to know. What's Musto going to do now?
Just sponge off Algernon for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
We need to figure out how to get rid of him.
Totally.
Yeah, he's just gonna be smoking a cigar on the porch one day, and I'll turn up to offer him one last job.
Hopefully that's the last you see of him.
Yeah.
We've got a job for you. It's a very important score.
Oh, it's outside the veil. Sorry, Musto, you have to go.
Musto's
to
got
it.
like big cockroach energy though, like will not like expire no matter what happens. So I feel like Musto will be the one that writes the history book of whatever happens.
Oh no,
Oh, no.
could you imagine?
Do you think
Written
there
in
was?
crayon.
Do you think there was ever a world in which we would have gone ahead and killed Musto to keep the faith on side? Do you think there's ever, or if it had been someone else who told us to do it, someone that we were really supportive of, do you think there's any world where we would have done it?
No, I don't think we could ever have done that. If anything, Frida would have stopped you, because, like, she actually has a massive crush on Musto. I will fight you all, before we could ever hurt Musto.
Right.
I feel like
The only
Killing him would almost be like killing Dan's spirit. I feel like. So I don't think we would ever want to do that.
I think
The only
Musto is the
time I-
best character Dan has ever come up with.
Well,
Hee.
I'm not saying that.
I love my sweaty boy.
the only time I've considered killing him was when I failed to. I was trying to take over his gang by negotiating with him, and I failed twice.
Oh,
To do so,
what?
and I
Then
was
just
so
go
tempted.
sod it, get a knife out, and stab him.
Well, I was tempted. My first thought was to just shoot him with my concealed pistol, which I've been saving for the entire campaign to do something dramatic with.
Finale. That's a finale pistol if ever I saw one.
Dan was very kind to let me try again. And pay him. I think we just paid him all the money.
Just
that
paid
we
him
had.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know why I like Musto so much. Musto gives me very big, like, Rab C. Nesbitt energy, like string vest, cup above roll sort of
Yeah.
energy. And I feel like, as a sort of, human rights lefty, if we just dispose of the people that are like Musto, that get in our way, I want to convince him. I want to have a Twitter argument with Musto about like what he, like a futile Twitter argument with him. So it feels against like the principles to off somebody that is so sort of oblivious to.
I don't think Musto would be on Twitter. He would be the guy who's on Facebook Marketplaces that takes pictures of like his mirror that he's trying to sell, but is actually in his pants at the same time. That's the kind of vibes that Musto gives me.
Minions
That's hot.
memes on Facebook.
I want to see the prequel campaign where we see the rise of Musto Van. Like, how the hell did he become leader of a faction?
Can I ask a new question to the group?
Yes.
About how everyone felt about the Garden Keeper's shrine getting burned.
You played that so well, JC, about finding a way how we could burn that down without being like massive.
Without just calling fiends in.
Yeah.
To talking a religious order into agreeing to burn their shrine. Amazing.
The dice helped me there as well, I will admit. I was rolling unusually well last time.
I mean, that's the only way it was ever going to work, wasn't it? I just find it
It's
amazing.
Still, it was a
managed
great
it.
idea, and it's glad that the dice were in our favour at that time.
Wonder what would have happened if you'd failed.
They wouldn't have. Velka would have been just like, no.
Another thing Velka asked us to do was find out about the Blackguard. And if I've got it right, my mate in the EIC was implying they're at the Spectre, or there's something to do with the Spectre.
Oh, really?
He said they disappeared like spectres.
Okay.
I'm not sure if there's a
Interesting.
significance to that.
Interesting.
But they're out there still.
Yeah.
Sergeant Leach is out there still in his black scarves, whatever they're called.
Is he, though? Because the last thing we saw, Leech was getting set upon by a baying mob, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Who
After the
knows what became
execution.
of him? Yeah. We need to
'Cause
find out.
Because I thought that like Leech was in control of like the City Watch, and in some sort of vein the shield as well. But I thought the Blackguard had just disappeared, really, because they were keeping watch of the tower that got burned down.
But then, like the guy from the OC said, they just disappeared. So where have they gone? I wonder if they're down in the sewers now, guarding Turia or something. Maybe we're going to come across them in the finale. Or Dan didn't want to deal with them anymore.
Yes.
It's like trying to get rid of all these factions, not keep them.
I mean, it's either that or we find out more about them in the next couple of episodes, because we still never really found out why they wear those helmets where you can only see
with the spirits.
Oh.
Yeah,
but don't they also have most of their orifices like sewn up
like
or something
they have
horrible?
like their eyes and their mouths sewn up.
Yeah.
So
that's some body horror right there.
So maybe hopefully that might be a thing that we'll find out.
Yeah.
I guess that leads nicely into like the next segment. Again, I can't remember if I asked at the beginning. Like, what plot hooks do we feel like we want tied up by the end?
So Fairfax and his wife.
Fairfax and his wife.
That was a good one. What else?
Me personally, I would like to find out what's happened to Dorothea.
Yes.
You and Dorothea are going to bang.
No, I said to Dan, I sent Dan a message today, and I was like, the only thing that I want to wrap up is the situation between Kavran and Dorothea. And then I also said, obviously, I think Celestria is a little bit out of the question, because the Ilnashi are probably now on our backs, and they have the most of Celestria at the moment. So probably I can't go there anymore to de-stressing. But I've got to think of something else that I can do. And he was just like, right, cool, you're going to bang Dorothea then? I was like, no.
I mean, that is one way to resolve that relationship, isn't
That's
it?
the conclusion.
Yeah.
I mean, Kavran's open to most things, but not that.
Not that.
Not that. Let's not go there.
I think the only thing Atto wants
I would
to
do anything for love, but I won't do that.
I won't do that. Very good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I definitely think that Magpie needs to mention the fact that she's been cut off from her family and is not welcoming her family home anymore to somebody. Like, because I'm sure she has mentioned it to someone, but it would be nice to see that conversation. Yeah.
Are you hoping to have more conversations with Samuel?
Yeah, definitely. I think now that, she's broken him out of Bell Tower, I think it would be nice to actually check in with him and see how he's doing, because it was a few episodes ago now and there just hasn't been a chance.
Yeah.
So, but no, I imagine they have talked and he's chilling at, well, is everybody at the manor, Cadwallader Manor? We're just hosting 40 odd Sanguivar in your house? How are we feeding them all?
Mushrooms.
Just mushrooms.
Yep.
Just an extra large crate of mushrooms delivered.
I love big mushrooms, especially if they are a little bit slimy and stinky.
Ugh. You could use them to grow more mushrooms.
Yeah, probably. One thing I wanted to bring up is that Frida is no longer a scrub like all of you lot, because I stabbed a bitch, and I'm all like, whatever, deal with it.
She fully did a murder?
Yeah, and I'm like, not even sorry cause I'm crazy.
Have you not done that before? Have you never done that?
No, not until then. I've been dying to, all campaign. Finally. The taste of blood is so sweet.
Yeah.
In the last episode, I decided to stab a bitch, because I can get loads and loads of XP. I could have resisted to not stab a bitch, but Frida ain't no soy boy. I'm gonna be so strong with all of my murder XP, so maybe I'll go on a shanking frenzy.
Or maybe it'll be a wake-up
reckless,
call.
you would say.
Reckless is so fun cause then I can get away with stabbing bitches. The other trauma I was thinking of taking was
Cold?
Cold. There is a cruel one, I think.
Dunno.
Vicious.
Vicious, that's it.
vicious.
Ooh.
Oh yes, I'd love to be vicious.
Yeah.
Cause then people would expect me to want to stab a bitch.
Speaking of trauma, I think I might, in the next session we're doing is downtime, and I think I might try and push myself for trauma in the downtime.
No!
Because it's fun.
I can't go to stress. I've been cut off from my voice, so I'll be starting the final score with 2 stress to spare. Whereas if I get trauma now, I go back to the
get it
beginning.
out of the way.
Yeah.
Join the club. Do it.
Errol, how
Blimey.
about you? Is there anything Atta feels like she needs to tie up?
She hasn't, after reading Umi book, I think she had that kind of revelation of what might happen if she thinks, well, and especially after the last episode, pulling in like a memory, pulling in Sunbird, right? Like as a spectre, like a ghost to try and fend off the assassin. It wasn't super effective, but it still was possible. So I think that's now I think Atta was probably a little bit too afraid to immediately think of somebody that she actually cares about to experiment with, which is, I guess, character development for Atta. Yeah, I think she might be pre any cataclysmic final scores, ready to kind of see whether she can contact Grandma.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of Umi's book as well, I guess it's something that we haven't spoken about. I mean, we spoke about it quite a bit in the episode, I think more out of character. But the things that are attacking people are not actually ghosts. Umi thought that they were memories instead, or has theorized that they're memories rather than ghosts, hence why some are more violent than others. Have we had any more theories or thoughts on that?
Maybe the void outside the veil, it's some kind of memory magic space.
Is there a I still really need to like internalize a lot of the Pantheon magic. Is there like there's not a special kind of dragon that looks after like memories and history and
There is a lawkeeper, isn't there?
I can have a quick little...
Yeah, has anyone got the EOE Pantheon just like handy?
and like whether they were particular, like because didn't each of the I might be remembering this wrong from my meager knowledge of like the history, but like the dragons had like particular adversaries, like didn't they? Like they weren't all fighting each other. There was like I dislike this one the most.
Yeah, divine and arcane were at odds. So yeah, like half the Pantheon is divine, half the Pantheon's arcane.
So Hydrea, I think that's how it's pronounced. Dan might have put the thing in there somewhere a bit better. Hydrea, yeah. Hydrea is the lawkeeper, who is arcane and knowledge. So yeah, and she is.
She is the lawkeeper? Is she?
She is the lawkeeper.
Okay. What others? Are there? If you cast your eyes around, are there any others that sort of look like they could be about?
Well, I mean, Hydrea rings a bell because I think she's been mentioned before.
So she was in year 1. There was a temple to Hydrea that...
Dan's writing something, don't. He's writing Smelly Bum Bum in the Pantheon document that I'm looking at the moment.
Stop it, Dan! You'll lose your listening in privileges. Stop it.
Apparently, Smelly Bum Bum is the deity of memories and is poo brown.
Cool. No. So there were genuinely in year 1, there was a whole session where the gang, like the party, of like Comstock and etc. They went into an old ruined temple of Hydrea that had aggressive ghost memories in it that attacked them. So that is literally the first time I've remembered that this whole time, but that did actually happen. So there could be a connection, couldn't there?
And I mean, if any Watchful Eyes watched like the last Daggerheart, like short campaign as well, that also dealt with, shattered memories in there as well, because we all faced a memory of Atrax. So
memory of Atrak, yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I wonder what had happened if dragons of like immense like godly power fought, and then like if somebody was like trying to take advantage of that situation in order to the history might not. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm trying to see patterns where maybe there aren't patterns, but I don't know.
Meg, you were there, weren't you? Well, you were not actually in that session, were you?
No, I wasn't in that session, annoyingly. But I came in at the end and sort of brought Atrak with me because I found him wandering in the woods.
Yeah.
So there was that.
That's right. But what do you feel that there could be any link then between this sort of Hydrea, the vengeful memories of the people in the Hydreian temple that attacked the party, and the fact that now we've got hostile memory ghosts attacking Elysia?
I mean, to be fair, the temple was full of hostile memory ghosts. So maybe.
But they were caught in loops of doing what they used to do, weren't they?
They were, but then, you know, maybe the ghosts in Elysia are also caught in a bit of a loop, or rather caught in like a, you know, if they're, or just caught in like one emotion, just that like hate and aggression.
You know. If you use the soul sight glasses, you can see the ghosts in the streets doing what they would do.
Oh, is that right?
There was an episode I remember when Atta was using the soul sight glasses, and there was just spirits just going about like hanging clothes.
We need to use it on the memories. We need to use it on outside.
Yeah. And I think this as a theory, this is kind of making sense that this has some link to this could be some kind of Hydreian memory dimension or something. I don't know, because who knows what has happened to the arcane dragons? They're locked away somewhere, aren't they? Like, you know, we said Hydrea was arcane, was she?
She is part of the group of divinity. But
she's a divinity dragon.
She is a divinity dragon, but she was on the side of Aya and the rest of the divine. But one of her things is arcane and knowledge.
That's interesting that she's a goddess of the arcane when she's divine. It's almost as if there wasn't such a schism after all. Anyway.
Well, we're probably coming towards the end of Algernon's Angels. Is there anything anyone would like to bring up before we finish?
Meg, you had one, didn't you? A sort of what we think is going to happen to everyone.
Oh yeah, what did we want to see happen at the end? Like, what are our hopes towards the end?
Yeah.
Like, I guess, you know, is Elysia going to end back up in where it was, the real world, as it were? Or are we just going to find another way to keep the veil up and keep everyone safe where they are? Or, that sort of thing. You know, if we want to put the conspiracy hat back on for a little bit and refer back to campaign 1, the end of campaign 1 does end with a city appearing in the sky.
A city, but yeah.
A city.
I don't think Elysia's necessarily the only one that got snatched away during the eschaton that disappeared. So it could be any city, couldn't it?
How many other cities are like floating in the space?
I know, right? Blimey.
In soup.
But
I suppose...
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Whoever does... Sorry, you go ahead, Errol.
I was going to go... No, you go. I was going to take us to it.
Oh, okay, because I was just going to say about that. Whoever comes back from whatever space Elysia and potentially others are in would potentially be bringing back knowledge of a very important area of research for, you know, the people of elsewhere. They're exploring this new world after the eschaton, and maybe there are other dimensions that they need to know about. A bit like in classic D&D and D&D settings, you've got things like the ethereal plane and like the various different planes. It could be that's similar in elsewhere as well, and that maybe people didn't even know about them previously, but the people who make it back for whatever reason will be able to sort of shed light on that. for researchers to start looking into. Maybe we'll end up getting a sort of, in the future, we'll get a sort of space travel type campaign or something. Elsewhere in space. But sorry, you go, Errol.
Well, I think what Atta wants and what Errol wants are completely different, because I think what Atta started off in the campaign wanting is the same as what Errol still wants. Is I want the Veil to get destroyed. I want to see the absolute chaos of like what
Everyone
it means to have. Well, even, you know, I guess it's kind of like that thing of like, do you take the boat or do you take the mystery box? Like, and I want the mystery box because I want to know what's in the mystery box, even if it's a turd. Because then I'll know. And who needs a boat anyway? But yeah, I suppose that's what Atta wanted, because she was so convinced that the only way to kind of really get back to people that had gone was to really understand the Veil and find ways to break it down. Like not truly like completely tear it down, but she was committed to that. And then I think she realised like how dangerous it was, and now just wants to keep. So Atta wants to keep the Veil up and wants to keep everyone as safe as possible, whether or not, you know, whether or not that means like the end to her research. It's she's kind of become a little bit more satisfied with that potentially never being something she gets to do or know. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of get like Donnie Darko vibes, like where maybe multiple like tunnels of like reality can connect. Who knows? I want something super sci-fi to happen at the end, I think. Errol does anyway.
Yeah. I think for me, and for Magpie, possibly she feels very torn about this whole situation, because obviously she doesn't want the Veil to fall and everyone to die, but also the alternative is that we keep the Veil up and just see how long we can go till everything collapses, you know? And that doesn't seem like a good alternative, just to keep things the same. I think Magpie will be gunning for change of some type. Certainly not allowing the Valenmars to piss off together and leave everybody to die. But if there is an opportunity to, you know, get everybody out, I think obviously that would be everyone's preference, wouldn't it? Than just keeping things exactly the same.
What if there isn't? What if there isn't an opportunity to get everyone out, but an opportunity for us to get out? Are we going down the ship, or are we saving our asses?
Guess we have to find out.
That is a knotty ethical conundrum, isn't it? Because you could try and convince yourself, oh no, we'll come back for you. We're going to get out and we're going to work out how to get you back. Bye. That would be quite bad.
What would you do, Meg?
Yeah, what would you do?
What would Meg do, or what would Frida do?
Well, what would Frida do?
Guess you'll have to find out, won't you?
No, that's a cop-out. You came up with this.
No, Jenny, it's difficult, because I think early game Frida would have been out there like a shot, you know, I think, but late game Frida has definitely got a sense of like familial attachment to the gang, you know, really feels responsible for them as well, like. And I've tried to sort of, I guess, maybe even reflect that a little bit in the abilities I've taken. Like, I've taken things like bodyguard and stuff like that, and stuff that will help me help other teammates, you know, and be able to sort of stand in harm's way, which, you know, Frida's done on a few occasions. So yeah, I think probably late game Frida might go down with the ship.
Wow.
I think that's what's really nice about the crew. Like, as we end game, like there is definitely loyalty between like the lot of them, and so I don't think any of us would be able to, both players and characters,
Whoa, what's
be
that,
able.
Errol?
Well, Algernon did spend a long time with Dan in a special room.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we
Oh,
can't
the
ignore that.
special
Yeah.
break
Viewers,
room.
Dan may cut this out of Algernon's Angels, but yeah, there was a period of time before our last recording where JC got whisked away to a separate recording.
Yeah, I've been
booth.
given a secret mission that I can't tell you about.
Oh, I'm so
Oh.
annoyed. Hate not knowing.
Well, hopefully we will find out soon enough.
By tarot.
Should we call it there? Should we call
Yeah,
this?
go on.
Well, this might not be the last Algernon's Angels, but it's quite possibly it'll be the last Algernon's Angels. But thank you everyone for joining in, for having a little chat. Obviously, this is the Explorers of Elsewhere. We are now counting down to the fast final few episodes of Campaign 2, Elysia Rising. But there is obviously Campaign 1 that you can watch through. If you don't know anything about Campaign 2, why don't you watch that as well? And there's also Daggerheart, which comes out every other Thursday live stream. And then there's a bunch of live streams that Dan also does by himself, playing all sorts of different games. So if you're interested in any of that, you can hit the subscribe button, you can hit the like button on this video, and you can also hit the notification bell so you can find out whenever these episodes come out. But I think that's it from us. So thank you. Dan will probably be in a moment and he'll laugh at us for some reason, like gleefully, for all the evil things he's got planned for us. And we will see you all in the next episode.
See
Bye.
ya.
Bye.